The Naval Academy Museum presents A History of the Navy in 100 Objects.
On Friday, 2 fallen Navy sailors were laid to rest at the Arlington National Cemetery. What was unique about this particular ceremony, however, was that it was likely the last Civil War burial to take place at the historic location. It was held for 2 members of the crew of the U.S.S. Monitor, a Union ship lost in a storm 150 years ago, and one of 2 ships that fought in one of the most pivotal naval battles in history, the first battle between 2 ironclad ships. Present at the funeral were crew members of the new U.S. attack submarine Minnesota, which shares the name of a wooden frigate from Monitor's fighting days. 150 years ago, U.S.S. Monitor entered the Battle of Hampton Roads as the first U.S.S. Minnesota, a wooden sailing frigate, was aground and under attack by Confederate forces. Able to escape due to Monitor's intervention, the first Minnesota was repaired and later returned to fight in the war. Today, Dr. Scott Harmon is standing in the Naval Academy Museum's first floor exhibit, in front of metal pieces from each of the 2 ironclads that squared off in this first battle, the U.S.S. Monitor and the C.S.S. Virginia, commonly known as the Merrimack.
Welcome, I'm Dr. Scott Harmon. We are at the Naval Academy Museum, and we're talking now about a revolution in naval warfare, the introduction of iron as armor plating. And this was used on what was called an ironclad. That's you can think of as a knight in shining armor. It's a wooden vessel, which is soft, protected by a coating of iron like the armor of a knight. And we have 2 examples here from our first ironclads. The first we'll talk about is the Virginia, which was built from the burned hulk of the U.S.S. Merrimack, which was burned in Gosport Navy Yard, Portsmouth, Virginia. And it was built up and coated with iron. We have a piece of iron from the Virginia's plating over there. It's a small square piece, about 1.5 inches thick, pretty heavy. And Virginia was coated with a layer of these iron plates. Well, Portsmouth, Virginia and Washington, D.C. are not very far apart, and word rapidly got to Washington that the Confederates were building an ironclad, and the Union had to do something to meet that. So as governments do, they put out a solicitation, got offers on building ironclads, and one that was selected was to become the U.S.S. Monitor. And we have models of the Monitor here, and we have a piece of iron plating from the Monitor itself. Now, these 2 vessels were not the first ironclads in history. The French had built one, the British had built one just before the American Civil War, but we took that idea and put them together, and what we had in March of 1862 was the first battle between ironclads. So that was down in Hampton Roads near Norfolk. Tactically, the battle was a draw. Neither side could claim victory, but the Confederates had failed what they wanted to do, which was to break the Union blockade. The Confederate idea was, we know we cannot build more ships than the Union Navy, but we can build better ones. Well, the Union responded with their industrial might and was able to meet the Confederates and protect the blockade of Norfolk and the Chesapeake Bay. So this was a very important battle because it was the first meeting of ironclads, but not the first ironclads themselves. And when you come and visit the museum, you can see these 2 pieces of very historic ships that have been sent down to us for many, many years. This piece from the Monitor was not salvaged from the wreck, but came to the Navy, was taken off soon after the battle, so it has not been immersed in seawater for a century and a half. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of the Naval Academy collections through this series of podcasts. We hope you'll join us for others, and we hope that you will take the opportunity to visit the museum and see this wonderful collection in person.